to day 17 of my raw food weight loss test. And my waist is not really any change in my waist since last time. Hips are the same as well. Thighs are just about the same, about 20 3/4. And the scale says 133.4, so I'm back up to 133 again. I just ate a whole bunch of watermelon. So, depending on if I've eaten, I'm weighing 131, between 131 and 133. So that's where I'm at right now. But that's still a decrease from when I started. I started at 135.5. So I'm definitely lighter than I was. Again, once I start exercising daily again, I just went for a run and just got back. So getting back into that will speed up my weight loss. And one way I began eating more raw foods and then eventually leading to totally raw like I'm eating right now is I would just start incorporating more raw food into my diet. Like when I made soup, I would just make the broth, the vegetable-based soup, or plant-based soup, of course. I would make the broth, and then I would chop up a bunch of raw vegetables, and instead of cooking them with the soup, I would just make the broth, and then add the raw vegetables to the hot or warm broth. So I wouldn't cook them, I would eat them raw, just throw them in the soup and eat them like that. You can do that with pizza too. You can just, I'm not encouraging people to eat pizza, but one way to transition into eating more raw food, if you're completely not used to it, it's going to take some transition time, most likely. You can cook the pizza, just cook the crust, and leave the vegetables on the counter for a while so they're not fresh out of the refrigerator and cold. I don't even use a refrigerator anymore, to be honest. So if you can just leave them out on the counter so they'll be room temperature, cook the pizza dough, make your sauce or whatever, and then just throw the raw toppings on top and eat them raw. That's another way you can start eating raw. And just things like that. Just start making half of your meal raw, and then more and more, and then start eating maybe one cooked meal a day and raw the rest of the day. Just fill up your plate more with raw foods. And eventually your taste buds will adjust to raw foods and you'll begin to want them and crave them and like them more and more. Generally, you're going to crave what you eat the most of. So if you're used to cooked foods and processed foods, that's what you're going to crave. And the more you eat raw, the more you will crave raw food and dislike processed and cooked food and feel really sick after you eat it because you're so used to eating raw food that once you eat cooked food, your stomach will literally, I remember I was on a raw binge for a few days, and then I ate a whole heaping pile full of mashed potatoes and cooked beans, and my stomach just felt like it was burning, bloated for hours afterwards. And you really begin to notice your body changes when you start eating raw. I'm not saying you don't get cravings, because I'm definitely still getting cravings. I had some bad cravings today, but again, that's just from not nourishing myself enough. Like I went for a few hours without eating, and that's not good. I usually try to eat every hour or every half hour. So I wasn't getting enough sugars and calories, so I started having pizza cravings and french fry cravings again. But that's going to happen because that's the stuff you grew up eating. So again, a great way to start eating raw is just incorporate more raw into your diet. Cook food less. Make half of your meal raw and the other half cooked. If you're making beans, throw some chopped raw vegetables and a side of raw fruit with your meal. And you should feel really good. So thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.